Welcome on Easy Learning. Now I am going to start the new chapter. That is the first chapter of this Rainbow Class 12th. It is Indian Civilization and Culture, written by Mahatma Gandhi. At first, I will read the chapter in two parts of the video, then I will explain in next parts of the video. I hope that after reading with me 10 times or more than that, you can have the good command over the sentence as well as the words. तो कम से कम आप मेरे साथ जो है 10 बार इस चैप्टर को रीड करेंगे, क्योंकि रीडिंग जो है बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है. जितना ज़्यादा रीडिंग करेंगे प्रोनाउंसिएशन स्किल और भी अच्छा होगा आपका. ओके, you don't need to study merely passing in the exam, only passing in the exam with the good marks. You need to also command over the language, because it would be very supportive in your future job anywhere in the interview, and you can crack the interview in comparison to those students who don't have the proper communication skill or the reading style there. So I hope that after reading with me many times, you can have a good polish of pronunciation. So I start reading from here. Indian Civilization and Culture. Mahatma Gandhi. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, born in 1869 and died in 1948, popularly known as Babu or the father of the nation, was more a spiritual leader than a politician. He successfully used truth and non-violence as the chief weapons against the British rule in India and helped India gain independence. From 1915 till 1948, he completely dominated Indian politics. He died at the hands of a fanatic on 30 January 1948. His autobiography, My Experiments with Truth, and the numerous articles that he wrote for Young India and the speeches that he delivered on different occasions reveal him not only as an original thinker, but also as a great master of chaste, idiomatic English. In the following extract, Indian Civilization and Culture, Gandhiji talks about the sound foundation of Indian civilization, which has successfully withstood the passage of time. The Western civilization, which has the tendency to privilege materiality, cannot match the Indian civilization that elevates the moral being. Indian Civilization and Culture. I believe that the civilization India has evolved is not to be beaten in the world. Nothing can equal the seeds sown by our ancestors. Rome went to Greece, shared the same fate. The might of the pharaohs was broken. Japan has become westernized. Of China, nothing can be said, but India is still somehow or other sound at the foundation. The people of Europe learn their lessons from the writings of the men of the Greece or Rome, which exist no longer in their former glory. In trying to learn from them, the Europeans imagine that they will avoid the mistakes of Greece and Rome, such as their pitiable condition. In the midst of all this, India remains immovable, and that is her glory. It is a charge against India that her people are so uncivilized, ignorant, and stolid that it is not possible to induce them to adopt any changes. It is a charge really against our merit. What we have tested and found true on the anvil of experience we dare not change. Many thrust their advice upon India, and she remains steady. This is her beauty. It is the sheet anchor of our hope. Civilization is that mode of conduct which points out to man the path of duty. Performance of duty and observance of morality are convertible terms. To observe morality is to attain mastery over our minds and our passions. So doing, we know ourselves. The Gujarati equivalent for civilization means good conduct. If this definition be correct, then India, as many writers have shown, has nothing to learn from anybody else. And this is as it should be. We notice that the mind is a restless bird. The more it gets, the more it wants, and still remains unsatisfied. The more we indulge in our passions, the more unbridled they become. Our ancestors therefore set a limit to our intelligences. They saw that happiness was largely a mental condition. A man is not necessarily happy because he is rich or unhappy because he is poor. The rich are often seen to be unhappy, the poor to be happy. Millions will always remain poor. Observing all this, our ancestors dissuaded us from luxuries and pleasures. We have managed with the same kind of plough as existed thousands of years ago. We have retained the same kind of cottages that we had in former times, and our indigenous education remains the same as before. We have had no system of life-corroding competition. Each followed his own occupation or trade and charged a regular wage. It was not that we did not know how to invent machinery, but our forefathers knew that if we set our hearts after such things, we would become slaves and lose our moral fiber. They therefore, after due deliberation, decided that we should only do what we could with our hands and feet. They saw that our real happiness and health consisted in a proper use of our hands and feet. They further reasoned that large cities were a snare and a useless encumbrance, and that people would be not happy in them, that there would be gangs of thieves and robbers, prostitution and vice flourishing in them, and that poor men would be robbed by rich men. They were therefore satisfied with small villages. They saw that kings and their swords were inferior to the sword of ethics, and they therefore held the sovereigns of the earth to be inferior to the rishis and the fakirs. A nation with a constitution like this is fitter to teach others than to learn from others. This nation had courts, lawyers, and doctors, but they were all within bounds. Everybody knew that these professions were not particularly superior. Moreover, these vakils and vaids did not rob people. They were considered people's dependents, not their masters. Justice was tolerably fair. The ordinary rule was to avoid courts. There were no touts to lure people into them. This evil too was noticeable only in and around capitals. The common people lived independently and followed their agricultural occupation. They enjoyed true home rule.